Good morning, girls here in the McAuley and staff, and a warm welcome to all our students watching via the live streams in their homeroom classes. I understand that everyone is now settled, and so in order to respect the solemnity of this Easter Liturgy occasion, I would ask that you act accordingly here in the hall and in homerooms. Okay, that means showing reverence and a respectful silence throughout this morning. Students, this morning we have a performance from our Year 10 and 11 drama students, and they're going to be well supported by our music students and cantors, and so I thank them in advance for their efforts in preparation and for certainly their performance here this morning. Students, at the end there will be some information before dismissal, so I ask you to remain in your settled state at the conclusion of the performance. Thanks, ladies.
To John chapters 20 verses 1 to 18. It was very early on the first day of the week and still dark when Mary of Magdala came to the tomb. She saw that the stone had been moved away from the tomb and came running to Simon Peter and the other disciple, the one whom Jesus loved. "They have taken the Lord out of the tomb," she said, "and we don't know where they had put him." So Peter set out with the other disciple to go to the tomb. They ran together, but the other disciple, running faster than Peter, reached the tomb first. He bent down and saw the linen cloth lying on the ground, but did not go in. Simon Peter, following him, also came up, went into the tomb, saw the linen cloth lying on the ground, and also the cloth that had been over his head. This was not with the linen cloths, but rolled up in a place by itself. Then the other disciple who had reached the tomb first also went in. He saw and he believed. Till this moment, they had still not understood the scripture that he must rise from the dead. The disciples then went back home. But Mary was standing outside near the tomb, weeping. Then, as she wept, she stooped to look inside and saw two angels in white sitting where the body of Jesus had been, one at the head, the other at the feet. They said, "Woman, why are you weeping?" "They have taken my Lord away," she replied, "and I don't know where they have put him." As she said this, she turned round and saw Jesus standing there, though she did not realize that it was Jesus. Jesus said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping? Who are you looking for?" Supposing him to be the gardener, she said, "Sir, if you have taken him away, tell me where you have put him, and I will go and remove him." Jesus said, "Mary." She turned round then and said to him in Hebrew, "Rabboni," which means master. Jesus said to her, "Do not cling to me, because I have not yet ascended to the Father, but go to the brothers and tell them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God." So Mary of Magdala told the disciples, "I have seen the Lord," and that he had said these things to her.
The way Jesus interacted with women was radical for his time. Throughout his ministry, Jesus elevated those marginalized by society, whether they were lepers, foreigners, tax collectors, children, the disabled. Jesus included everyone, especially those that were underprivileged.
In first century Jewish society, women were one of those marginalized groups. They were disenfranchised and often regarded as property rather than sentient beings. Women were not considered reliable witnesses. They were classed with slaves, children, and mentally handicapped as being unable to give reliable testimony. They could not even represent themselves in court.
After his crucifixion, when several women went to Jesus' tomb to care for his body, they were greeted by angels who told them Jesus had risen from the dead. But when the women told the disciples did not believe the women because their words seemed to them like nonsense.
The disciples assumed that the women were hysterical or imagining things, yet Jesus approached women differently than society, women who are a constant part of each ministry. At Jesus' every term, women were present. They were with him at the beginning of his ministry when Mary asked him to turn water into wine. Women were models of Jesus' work, such as in the parable of the lost coin.
Christ listened to women when they pleaded for his help on behalf of their families. In the face of tradition and cultural norms, Jesus discussed salvation and prophecy with a Samaritan woman while drinking out of a well. It was a woman who washed his feet, preparing Christ for burial. When most of the disciples fled in terror, it was women who bravely stood at the foot of a cross as he died.
After the resurrection, God gave the gospel permission first to women, not his male disciples. In other words, the good news of Christ and his resurrection was first given by women to men.
So what does this tell us about Jesus? He certainly treated women as if they were made equal in the image of God and have the same value to him in his ministry and the world as men. Today we still have much we can learn from Jesus' example.
Thank you, one and all, for your your involvement in this morning's celebration of one of the most important components of our Catholic calendar. I'd particularly like to publicly thank all the staff behind the scenes. I know there are many of you, but ladies in the McAuley, and certainly I encourage the girls in homerooms to put their hands together and thank all the staff, both the music and drama staff, and of course Miss Banks. And a few more rounds of applause. Ladies, I'd encourage you to thank your classmates, our singers, our cantors, and our dramatists. Ladies, please put your hands together for those students. And no need for applause here, but I'd like to just extend my thanks for the students here with me in the McAuley. The way you entered into that was just perfect, so thank you very much. And I'm sure the same can be said for our students watching in homerooms. If that hasn't been the case, I'd encourage those homeroom teachers to communicate with the relevant year coordinator, but I'm sure that won't be necessary. Students watching via the live stream, you've got a few minutes before period one. I'd encourage homeroom teachers to guide their students to reset up the rooms. You will have noted the instructions encompassed this morning about setting up your homeroom classrooms in order to participate in this morning's celebration. So I'd ask you to spend the next few moments before moving to period one reconfiguring your classroom so they're suitable for period one. Students here with me in the McAuley, before we move off, you don't need to move the chairs anywhere, but I'd ask that you, under the guidance of your year coordinators, you wait where you are and we move just smoothly back to get your material for period one classes. Thank you one and all for joining us, and I hope you have a wonderful day.